Well, good afternoon. My name's Vanessa. I work with Entrypark. I've been living in Sweden for about 3 years, but I'm from Canada, so I tend to speak English very quickly. So please, somebody go like this to let me know that I'm rushing or I'm speaking too quickly, because I tend to do that. But what I'm going to talk to you about today is the social job hunt, which is basically how to use social media to not only find great career opportunities, but to build your personal brand so that you're visible to these global employers or these recruiters that you really want to be noticed by and get a career opportunity or to find a job. So just quickly so I can understand where people lie. How many of you use social media for career-related purposes? Either you follow a Twitter job feed of a company or a career blog. How many people do that already? Okay, so quite a few of you. How many of you have never heard of the concept of using social media for recruitment? Okay, so most of you have heard the concept of social recruiting, which is what the employers call it. So what I'm going to talk to you about is basically what is social recruiting. I'm just going to give you a brief introduction of what exactly it means. I'm going to tell you a bit of stats that'll blow your mind. I don't know if they'll really blow your mind, but they'll put things into perspective of how important social media can be for your career search and your career development. I'm going to present you the analogy of the private treehouse about social networks, and I'll explain that later. I'll also talk to you about the 99-1 rule, using social media to build your personal online brand. I'm going to show you 2 success stories, also 2 stories of what not to do, and then a little homework to get you started. So what's social recruiting? From the employer's perspective, it's called social recruiting. And it's not really anything specific. It's not a really defined thing like making application systems. It's basically just a loosely developed concept on using the social parts of the internet to recruit, to connect, and to attract talent. For the job seeker, there wasn't really a really big definition out there, so I defined it as using social media for job searching, interacting with potential employers, building a professional profile, making valuable professional contacts, all for the express purpose of improving your career opportunities and your career development. So that's what it means to both groups of people. So some stats to blow your mind. I'm going to try to go slow. I want you to try to take it in and really understand how important social media is from the employer's perspective, especially to connect with you and how they see social media for recruitment. So as of today, 90% of employers either use or plan to use social media for recruiting. 90%. And that includes everything from LinkedIn to Facebook to Twitter to Blogger to Foursquare. It includes all the major social media platforms. 64% of employers claim to have successfully hired through social media. 47% of employers screen or filter candidates' social media profiles after receiving an application. So after you go through all that trouble what Vasco told you, they're going to go look you up and make sure all that information that you submitted is actually reflected in reality on the type of person you are online. 69% of employers have rejected a candidate because of what they saw about them on social media. However, an equal amount of them have also hired somebody based on what they saw about them on social media. So you can tell it's gone a pretty far way for employers. And what it's important to understand is that most of the best companies or the best employers take a long-term approach to social recruiting. They follow you. They can follow people's blogs, Twitter feeds for years, interacting with you. And then only when there's an opportunity that matches you perfectly, they've been learning about you for all this time, following you on social media, that opportunity will be presented to you. So it's a long-term strategy for employers, and it needs to be the same for a job seeker. However, less than 40% of job seekers use social media for career-related purposes. Clearly, there's a mismatch. The recruiters and the employers are super excited about it, but job seekers don't really see it this way, aside from maybe using LinkedIn, which I think, or Zing or Veadeo in France, which is really, for professional purposes. So, to continue on, based on knowing how popular it is for recruiters, which social network do you think is most popular amongst employers for screening candidates? Screening meaning checking up on you after you've submitted your application. Just say it out loud. Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook? LinkedIn, huh? Yeah. 48% of employers use LinkedIn to screen you. 53% will look at your Twitter profile, and 76% will go look you up on Facebook. So most people have their Facebook profiles pretty locked down, and for various reasons that maybe that's a good thing, but they will find, most of them will find a way. Some of them by legal reasons can't, but a lot of employers will find a way to sort of at least do a brief checkup on what your behavior is like on Facebook. Just to let you know, for finding candidates, LinkedIn is still the #1 choice of recruiters. But Facebook is a close second, with 60% of them using it to find candidates and 76% using it to screen candidates. But why Facebook? Facebook is personal. We all know that. LinkedIn, Zing, Viadeo, that's where you should be connecting with employers. Not for the recruiters, for the most part, or the employers. They like Facebook. They take the let them come to us strategy, which is essentially they put up their career pages or their employer pages on Facebook, and they can sort of sit back and wait for you to come like their page or follow them on Twitter. And they like that. They like that you can come to them and get the information if you want it. They won't go and message you on a private message on Facebook. Very rarely does that happen. Also, people don't interact much on LinkedIn. Think about it. You put up your profile, but how much do you go and have conversations on LinkedIn? Not very frequently. And the employers, especially those, yeah, sorry.
Question regarding social networking. How are the organizations seeing your profile on Facebook? Because as far as you do not attend in person on Facebook, you can't go through this roles.
There are various ways. Sometimes you don't realize Facebook changes its settings a lot. Sometimes you can access someone's information just simply by being part of the same network. So if a recruiter went to KTH and you've let your information be seen to everyone who's in the KTH network, there is some ways around it. Also, it can just be looking at the basic information. And LinkedIn and Facebook is allowing you to put more information about yourselves now, like where you've been educated. There's more to fill in on Facebook. But there is possibility to search, which I'll explain afterwards. But yeah, so they want to interact with you, especially entry-level students. And then the last thing is now it's possible for companies to to source candidates through Facebook, through third-party providers. So now, but this is out of your permission. If you go and sign up for this platform, this Branch Out is an example, if you've ever heard of it, you'll put your Facebook profile into their system, and there are employers who will go and source you and search for you through this system. Okay, so even though you know Facebook is pretty popular around recruiters, how many of you still feel, no way, I'm locking it down, too private, connect with me on LinkedIn? How many of you still feel that way? Show of hands. Who's going to lock up their Facebook profile? Okay, so you guys are okay with it. You seem to be, if you're not totally against it, maybe you're warming to the idea that it's all right. But basically, the way we see it of job seekers feeling that Facebook and certain social networks are way too private is sort of like the private treehouse, that thing you had when you were younger where there was always somebody excluded. In this sense, it's no recruiters allowed. But in our perspective, for the idea of using social media for career search and personal brand building, maybe that's not the right way to look at it. It's not really about the platform. It's about the concept of using the social parts of the web to connect with top employers, to connect with your future employers and colleagues, and to build a picture of yourself online that companies will find attractive and will want to hire you. But how do you do that? How can you welcome recruiters into your Facebook, LinkedIn, and other social media profiles? How can you use it to find the great career opportunities as well as build your personal brand? A good way to understand that is the 99-9 rule. 99-1 rule, sorry. So this is basically just a loosely or well understood concept amongst social media gurus or people that like to use social media a lot. It's basically that 90% of people consume social media. So these would be the people who want to use social media to find a job opportunity. They don't necessarily want to use it to build a picture of themselves. They want to keep most of their profiles locked down, but they'll use it to go look for a career opportunity. That's 90%. 9% will edit. These are the people that share, retweet, comment on the information that other people put up in social media. And this is not a bad thing. This is actually a really great second step, because what you share, what you retweet, what you like on Facebook is a reflection of yourself. It's a reflection of what you're interested in, what type of professional profile you have, what are your areas of expertise. So being an editor is a great second step. And then the 1% of people really take it to the next step. These are the people who want to use social media to build their personal brand online and be visible to their potential employers. And these are the content creators. These are the people who create the original stuff that everyone else reads and comments and tweets and so forth. So how do you take the first step and join the 99%? Most of you use social media, so I think you're familiar with at least being a consumer of social media content. And I think obviously most people do fall in this 99%. But in order to really make the best use of it and be an editor and consumer is, as Vasco and Björn said, update your profiles. Now you're actually able to submit your application using your LinkedIn profile. So we cannot stress it enough, whether you're using Veadeo, Zing, or LinkedIn, get your profile up to date, get recommendations if you can, but fill it in, as well as filling in your other social media profiles, the ones that are the most public. Your Twitter, use a good description of yourself in the profile. Follow and like great companies. This is completely passive. You don't have to do anything. You just go and like the career page of a company you like. Their information, their jobs that they post every now and then, or career opportunities or games or events will come into your Facebook feed or your Twitter feed or your LinkedIn feed, however you want to use it. Comment, share, and retweet the content of others. Like I said, what you share and what you comment on is a reflection of your interests. And people do read the comment sections at the end of blogs and articles, and they look. Someone who puts an insightful comment, sometimes you click on their profile and you follow them. You think, oh, this person has a good point of view. I'm going to follow them. A lot of those people are recruiters. Do a people search. This is basically using any of the 1, 2, 3 people, Clout, Technograti, any of them to find out, or you can use LinkedIn actually, to find the people that work in the companies you want to work for. Find them, see their background, see what companies they worked at before, what education they have. Do a people search to sort of understand the profile of the people that work at the companies you want to work at. And then streamline your incoming information. When you're a consumer and an editor, it can seem very, very huge. All this social media information, it's hard to understand it and to synthesize it into knowledge. So streamline it. Use an RSS reader. Create Twitter lists based on your areas of interest. I'm interested in international careers. I'll follow Entrypark. I'll follow Sony jobs. I'll follow this. I'm interested in specifically things in IT engineering. Then you'll follow certain people that are really active in talking about that industry and the things that happen in that field. But then if you really want to take it another step further and really build your personal brand and be noticed by recruiters, again, not to stress it again, 90% of them use it to find talent. So if you really want to come up at the top of that search, you want to be part of this 1%. You want to be the people who create the content. To do that, again, fill in your profile, all of them, especially now when you're part of the 1%. You can create a multimedia or infograph CV. This relates to what Vasco said. If you're able to upload your CV, it's really creative to look at different ways, different systems that you can use to create something different that makes you stand out. An infograph CV is an example of that. Share your great ideas. You're in school, you're doing interesting projects. You're at one of the best universities, in Europe. Often you're covering topics that are far beyond even what the companies are looking at. So write a little blog about it, write a tweet about it, going, wow, I looked into this technology. I'm not even going to try to pretend like I know what technology, so I'm just going to say a technology. Tweet about it. You'll be noticed. It's a way to say, wow, these KTH students really look in and research and understand things that our companies are only starting to look into. This is a great way to do it. Connect and build your network. So Twitter, Facebook, all of them, connect first with your friends, your colleagues, your classmates, and then I think most importantly, especially when you're a content creator, is every time you go and you meet people in person, a conference, a career fair, and you get a business card, follow this rule of thumb. Within 2 days, add them on LinkedIn or follow them on Twitter. Especially for LinkedIn, often you have to email them to connect. You don't have to write a whole description of yourself in that message. Just, hi, it was great meeting you at that conference. Let's connect on LinkedIn. But within 2 days, 1 day, ideally, because people will forget where they met you. So after meeting them, get those business cards, go right home and connect with those people. Interact with your future boss. Again, on Twitter, a lot of companies, a lot of the higher up executives are on Twitter. Follow them, see what they're talking about, put a comment or two on the articles or the blogs that they write. And then participate in Hire Friday. This is an English idea, but there's other versions in other countries. What this basically is on Twitter on Fridays, recruiters get together and they tweet with the hashtag Hire Friday. If you don't know what a hashtag is, please just ask me later, I'll explain, but it's basically a way to make search easier. So if you want to be noticed, get your LinkedIn profile, everything up to date, go on Friday and say, IT engineer looking for opportunity in San Francisco. Hashtag Hire Friday with a link to your LinkedIn profile. Perfect. Other recruiters will see it, it'll get passed around. Great way to be visible and a super, super easy way to do it. So some success stories. And in case you're still skeptical, there are people who have actually landed jobs doing this. This is Kelsey. She writes a blog about nothing special, about what she studies in school, you know, her daily life. She was looking for some internship. She looked up on Twitter. She saw a job tweet from Intl. She tweeted them back with a link to her LinkedIn profile and to her blog. The story goes on. She got the job. And this is actually a conversation I had because LinkedIn wrote a little blog about how she got her job through social media. This is Feroz. You might have heard of him. He's pretty popular, actually. He did a project for YouTube. He made a search engine for YouTube as a school project. I mean, he thought it was a good project, so he blogged about it. He put it online. Chad Hurley, then CEO of YouTube, saw it on Dig, which is a news aggregator. They exchanged tweets. Feroz got the job. He didn't submit any application. He just built his brand online and was noticed. What not to do? You can also, as I said, a lot of people lose jobs through social media. So I'm not going to go into this. I think most of you are smart enough to know what not to put out there. I think the first one's pretty funny. Yeah, don't tweet things like that. It's just logical. The other one is also you can look this up, some Domino's employees did some pretty gross things and they taped it and put it on YouTube. Also pretty good way to lose your job. So to sort of close it up, there are some of you who haven't really thought about this concept or haven't really aggressively thought, how can I use this to really land a great job, especially an international career. Here's a few things to get started. I can't reinforce it anymore. Get your profiles up to date. Connect with people, get recommendations. There are the software that recruiters use to search LinkedIn. You come up higher in search when you have recommendations. So really try to get recommendations, ideally from people that are more senior than yourself. So don't aim to get recommendations from your friends. It's not horrible, but aim for somebody that has been your boss at some point. Use Entrypark or Technorati or Clout or any of these people search or company search to find companies and people that share your areas of interest and follow them. You can use Entrypark also to, we not only do we post information about great employers, we link to their Facebook career pages, their job Twitter feeds, their career blogs. So you can go there as well as other sites to find the social media activities of employers. Write one guest blog. For those of you who have never blogged, it can be totally daunting to set up your own blog. I know it is for myself, so I blog along with other classmates. I was at Handelshögskolan, Stockholm School of Economics. We blog together because doing it alone is a bit cumbersome. So if you've never done one, write one. Ask a friend to post it on theirs. Write about anything you want, a school project, anything. 200 words max, even less. But try it out. Follow the statistics, see how many people read it after a week, what words they used to land on your blog, how long they stayed, did anyone write a comment. Once you do it once, you'll actually get really into it. And then also, this seems simple, but write a comment. For those of you who want to be editors, I'm sure you've read an article once where you're like, this is the stupidest idea I've ever read, or this person is completely wrong. Comment. Sometimes we hold back. I know it seems silly, but at least if you write a comment, it'll at least get you comfortable with the idea of putting your personality out into this huge public space. And it's, for the world to see. It's a good way to sort of start it out. But remember, social media is a conversation. You don't, for career purposes, don't go into it going, hire me, and connecting with everyone on LinkedIn, writing them a message going, I want a job at your company. There's a conversation going on, and you want to be part of it, especially in the things that you're interested in. So in order to be heard, you need to listen. Listen to what the colleagues at the job, at the company you want to work at, listen what they're talking about, what new projects they're working on, what new markets they're going into. Listen to the conversation and then join it. Join it with your own perspective, your own opinions, and it's more likely you will be heard and seen that way because what you're saying is relevant to the conversation. So thank you. You can follow us, obviously, on Twitter and pick up our career book, but you can follow us as well, and we'll give you more information on this topic. Thank you.